All right, and we're back on the forecast. Now, we as a community really have to start getting back into the mindset of policing ourselves. We live in a system that take our tax money and force us to pay for people who are there to keep us in check, whose main goal is to enforce the system of America. If you're going to serve a government or an army or the police, you might as well be in an organization meant to benefit you. You can't be free in a system where another group of people determines your justice. And people talk about black on black crime, and crime in our community is a problem that we have to deal with. But you don't see America letting China punish American citizens. And when it happens in our community, we can't let outside forces come in either, because they don't see us as any different. They look at us all as the same. And as far as black on black crime, they've always used that talking point to justify what they have done. Hundreds of years ago, we were savages and they were taming us. And today they say, well, what about black on black crime? But those same FBI numbers they love to quote will tell you those numbers are estimation and not even close. To label something black on black crime, you have to have a suspect and a victim. And at least 17% of the cases, they don't know who the suspect is to label it black on black crime. Not only that, you have to ask, do those numbers include people suspected of committing a crime, people arrested, people convicted? Because if it goes by conviction, we know people like George Zimmerman murdered Trayvon Martin, but he doesn't count towards the murder statistics. You have to question the methodology for all of these numbers they try to use against you, because most of the time their talking points are based off pseudoscience. Although crime is a problem in our community, we have to deal with it ourselves. As long as we let our outside force come in and deal with it, we'll be subject to their rules and their punishments. And it leads to cases like what happened down in Mississippi, where the Jackson police ended up beating a 61-year-old man to death. Now let's see what can make the police beat up a 61-year-old man to death.
Robinson was actually arrested just hours after the death of a pastor at his own church. Now, I went to the area and actually spoke to several people about exactly what happened to Mr. George Robinson on a Sunday morning. Now, that's when a JPD K9 and Vice Narcotics were out apparently looking for suspects in the shooting death of Pastor Anthony Longino. Now, he was robbed and gunned down in front of his own church Sunday morning. People tell me there was heavy police presence, and officers ran into George Robinson in front of a home where they thought a suspect may have been. Now, witnesses tell me they saw police beating Robinson before slamming him to the ground. They tell me the ambulance was called, but they were not sure how Robinson got to the hospital. Now, JPD says Robinson was charged with a misdemeanor. Chief James Davis with JPD says there is an investigation taking place to find out exactly what happened.
Right now, this investigation is ongoing. There's no one to come forward to say the police did any wrongdoing. That's what we have heard from the public, so that's why the city addressed this issue earlier.
Now, I did talk to the wife of Mr. Robinson, who says she and her family plan to file suit. Now, we did reach out to Hinds County Coroner, who says preliminary results show Robinson suffered head trauma. We are still waiting for a full report on that. Now, I did speak with several people in the area and just asked why they did not come forward. Many people say they are simply afraid. Still, JPD urges anyone with information about this to come forward.
Family of George Robinson is speaking out. He died after being arrested last week. Robinson was charged with a misdemeanor, and what exactly happened is under investigation. His sister says she wants justice.
It's so sensitive where we couldn't even wrap our head around it. We didn't even have any clue till they had come up here and did this to him. When I made it to the hospital, they was already rushing him. You know what I'm saying? So we don't even know what happened. We just don't know what happened. So we trying to find out what happened.
Now, a preacher, Reverend Anthony Longino, had just gotten robbed and murdered while he was opening up his church. So, of course, the Jackson police go out and investigate the murder. Now, just because we want justice for this preacher's murder doesn't mean we want you to go around violating and hurting every black person you come across. Many people in the area say the police often run up on people, violating their rights, forcing them on the ground, and searching them. People say it's gotten a lot worse over the last few weeks. They just run up on people, guns drawn, violate their Fourth Amendment right, and illegally search them. And they do it without a warrant anytime they want. This 61-year-old brother, George Robinson, who was sitting outside minding his own business, when the K-9 unit task force approached him. Now, the police never said what he did for them to approach him. They never said what law he broke. They didn't say if or why he looked suspicious. He was just sitting in his own car in front of his own house when they approached him and told him to get out. Now, this brother, George Robinson, who was 61 and had just recently had a stroke, wasn't moving fast enough for the cops. So they snatched him out of the car and then they started searching it illegally. Witnesses said they had him pinned against the car while they were searching it. Their witnesses say they saw the cops beating him up, hitting him in the head with a flashlight, and then they slammed this 61-year-old man on the ground. Eventually, they ended up charging this man with resisting arrest, even though they never said what he was arrested for in the first place. So they gave him a court date and let him go. So later that night, he started having headaches and went to the ER, where he ended up dying a day or two later. Now, even in Mississippi in 1805, they passed a law about cruel and unusual punishment to black people. But today, they beat this 61-year-old man to death for no obvious reason. And the police can't seem to figure any of this out. It's such a mystery. The police said they need an autopsy before they can continue the investigation. But a medical examiner already ruled it homicide by blunt force trauma to the head.
3 Jackson police officers involved in the arrest of a man whose death has been ruled a homicide are now on administrative leave. Let's go to WJTV 12's Jade Balexa, who is live outside of police headquarters with the latest developments. Jade?
Yeah, those 3 officers are on administrative leave with pay. Now, the Hinds County coroner's report shows that George Robinson died of a hemorrhage due to blunt force trauma. Now, on January 13th, officers were searching for those responsible for a pastor's murder. Police spokesman Sergeant Roderick Holmes told me Robinson was arrested and released on 2 misdemeanors: failure to obey a police officer and resisting arrest. But what exactly happened is under investigation. The chief wasn't available for an interview. Sergeant Holmes says Robinson's family has filed a formal complaint against the department. The family told me they are working to find an attorney. Now, the mayor is out of town, but says once the investigation is complete, it will then be turned over to a grand jury for review.
Now, this Jackson Police K-9 unit task force, whose names they refused to release, although the mayor was supposed to sign an executive order that said officers' names are supposed to be released within 72 hours. They said in this case, because it didn't involve an actual shooting, that they don't know if this law applies. And since it's longer than 72 hours, I guess it doesn't. Of course, the police are unclear if they had body camera footage, but a neighbor said she got it on video, but won't release it out of respect for the family. Now, of course, these cops got their paid vacation, and then the medical examiner got right back on code. And she tried to take back what she said about the homicide until she sees the autopsy.
The Hinds County coroner initially reported head trauma during Robinson's death, but has since said that she wanted to wait until the official cause of death was determined through the autopsy, which has yet to come back. Meanwhile, Robinson's family says they want JPD held accountable.
But they need their badges turned in today.
The tireless search for Pastor Anthony Longino's killer ended in tragedy for 62-year-old George Robinson. Jackson Police Chief James Davis says Robinson was charged with a misdemeanor and was going to be field released, but what happened after that is still under investigation. Robinson died 2 days later from his injuries.
You wanted justice for somebody else? Okay, tell me how I'm going to get justice. Now, that's what I want them to tell me. I want them to tell me, how am I going to get justice?
Robinson's family and friends are now seeking justice for George.
Protect and to serve, that's not to protect and to serve. That's not to come out. You give one family justice, and then all you do is come out and brutalize my family.
What can they do for the police immediately? We don't need to wait till next year and all that, and they still going around doing the same thing. Only thing we ask is for justice.
Family members say George suffered a stroke weeks ago and was still recovering.
He couldn't move his right side good. So if he was moving kind of slow, it was because he had had a stroke in his right side.
Earlier today, a spokesperson with Jackson Police Department said that this matter was still under investigation. And like I said, they are waiting for the autopsy to come back so they can determine an official cause of death.
Now, it took 3 cops to beat up this 61-year-old man who recently had a stroke, and he could barely move his right side. They still have no reason why they approached him in the first place, and his only charges was not complying with their demands and resisting arrest. Because we know what happened to niggas that don't comply and resist. But the police can't seem to figure out what happened in this case. This man didn't have anything to do with robbing or killing his own pastor at his own church. They arrested somebody else in their 20s that most likely doesn't even know him.
Breaking news for you today at noon. A second suspect is arrested in the shooting death of a Jackson pastor. WJTV 12's Linnea Lewis has the latest on what happened in court this morning. Linnea.
Well, Andrew, no bond was given to 23-year-old Bernard Randall, who's the second person charged with robbing and shooting Pastor Anthony Longino of New Bethany Missionary Baptist Church. Now, this morning we learned Randall is being charged with capital murder, armed robbery, and aggravated assault for an incident that happened at the Robinson Street Food Mart last week. He was given a court-appointed attorney who asked his bail be set at $10,000 for each charge, but the judge denied that request. Just yesterday, 22-year-old Marquez Hamilton was also charged in the killing of the Jackson pastor. He's charged with capital murder, armed robbery, auto theft, and conspiracy. He, too, was denied bond in court.
Now, yes, we want justice for this pastor. We just don't want a lynch mob going around killing innocent people to get it. Now, the difference is these young 20-some-year-old brothers are going to pay for the crimes they committed. Meanwhile, the police are out there still free to keep doing it. And if you want to compare black-on-black crime to police murders, I would rather my tax money go to these young brothers in the hood. I know most of their problems come from poverty. That's why we have to be in charge of policing our own communities. We can't let one bad situation turn into another one that'll never get justice, especially in places like Mississippi. It took Mississippi until February 7, 2013 to submit the proper documentation and ratify the 13th Amendment. They didn't officially accept the 13th Amendment or abolish chattel slavery until a few years ago. Mississippi is one of the places that still had people in chattel slavery 50 or 60 years ago. Up until the 1960s, they claimed these black people owed them a debt and told them they couldn't leave and had to work to pay it off. That's called peonage, another form of slavery, and that has been outlawed since 1867. So before a random lynch mob come to our communities trying to solve our problems, they need to deal with the people in their own communities. And we can't let outside forces dictate how we handle our justice. But until we get on code with each other, they can just come into our communities and do whatever they want to do. At the end of the day, at some point, we're going to have to learn that we're all we got. And nobody's going to get us out of this situation but us.
Well, now this follow-up tonight, a small Attala County town is questioning whether a weekend chase and fatal shooting are a hate crime. Sheriff's Department officials met with residents to answer questions about the killing of Cedric Sharkey. Rosalind Anderson has more.
More than 125 people crowded into New St. James Church of Christ to find out more about Saturday's investigation in Salis, where 24-year-old Cedric Sharkey was found shot in the woods following a chase on Attala Road 4106.
They had no business, no chasing behind somebody, taking the law into your own hands.
Investigators say 52-year-old Frankie Barber and 42-year-old Barry Ware are charged with a fatal shooting. One weapon is being processed. The two told investigators Sharkey fired at them first, but no other weapon has been found.
As revealed up to this point in time, we do not believe he had a weapon.
Residents asked questions and voiced concerns that while 4 were seen in the truck chasing Sharkey, only 2 were charged. Relatives say Barber accused Sharkey of stealing iron from his property, then later chased his car, causing it to crash.
Frankie, his son, his son-in-law, his daughter, they pulled up. The son jumped out and said, "Y'all been the ones taking our stuff." And said younger brother Marcus, he said, "We ain't been taking nothing."
Some of us feel that it was, you know, I'm tired physically, mentally, but I mean, I just want justice. You know, if it was a hate crime, I want them prosecuted to the fullest. Either way, we just want some justice.
I saw it happen. And for me to just see the look in that man's face chasing him, I cannot get it out of my head.
Sheriff William Lee said the Mississippi Bureau of Investigations and several other agencies are assisting.
We're going to do everything we can to make sure that we get convictions. I promise you that. You ain't got to worry about that part of it. If it's more evidence comes back where we can charge people, charge more people, whatever, we're going to do that too.
Clergy asked for fairness in solving this crime and bringing all involved in the murder to justice. Rosalind Anderson, WLBT News, Attala County.
Sheriff Lee said the FBI would be consulted to determine if the fatal shooting constitutes a hate crime.
Women who instigated hateful hit-and-run death get jail time. Sarah Graves and Shelby Richards look like college co-eds, but they're actually some of Mississippi's most racist people. They, along with these men, are now in the slammer for the vicious beating and murder of this man, James Anderson, outside a Jackson, Mississippi motel in 2011. Jackson is Mississippi's capital city and is predominantly African American. Rankin County, on the other hand, is majority white. Apparently, there's a long history of racist-fueled violence involving people from Rankin County driving into Jackson solely to terrorize blacks. The women, along with 6 men, came across James Anderson in the parking lot of a motel and beat him to within an inch of his life for no reason other than being the first black guy they saw. In the end, Graves and Richards goaded Daryl Dedman into running Anderson over with his truck, killing him. Dedman was sentenced to life in prison for actually killing Anderson with his truck. Richards and Graves pleaded to 1 count of violating the federal hate crime law and will face a maximum of 5 years in jail and a $250,000 fine. All the others in this case have also pled guilty for their crimes as well.
Poisoned in his own dorm room. A former chemistry major at Lehigh University is accused of attempting to kill his roommate. Our Cleve Bryant has that story.
Nothing really would have prompted this.
A roommate relationship that took a dark turn. Thursday, police announced new charges against former Lehigh University student Yukai Yang. In April, the Chinese international student was hit with several misdemeanors for allegedly vandalizing his black roommate's stuff and writing with marker, "N-word, get out of here." From that investigation, police discovered Yang was also allegedly poisoning his roommate, too.
Throughout that interview, Mr. Yang, who is a chemistry major at Lehigh, admitted to purchasing various chemicals through the internet, including thallium.
Police say for months, Yang secretly put the toxic metal thallium in his roommate Joanne Royal's drinks, all the while pretending their several-year friendship was normal.
I think, like everyone, this kind of came out of left field. And it just breaks my heart.
Kevelise Matthews Alvarado was the resident advisor for both students last year. She remembers Royal getting sick multiple times.
Having to go to the hospital or passing out.
But until the racist graffiti incident, she and Royal, who she still talks to, thought everything was normal with Yang.
Reading the accusations, and not even accusations, but actual actions that took place really breaks my heart because it was very malicious.
Police say that Yang turned himself in on Thursday morning. He's facing attempted homicide and aggravated assault charges. He's also going to have his visa revoked. Police tell us that Royal is still feeling the effects of the thallium poisoning.
And I'm Glenn Walker. They gathered to celebrate a birthday, but suddenly they were mourning a death. Tonight, outrage and conflicting accounts of a shooting that left a partygoer dead and a police officer wounded. CBS 2's Rachel Kim live now in Inglewood with more. Rachel?
Well, Glenn, Inglewood police here say Marcus Smith was armed before they opened fire on him, but witnesses say Smith was not armed. And right now, these conflicting reports have many in this community calling for answers. Friends of Marcus Smith begin to create a memorial and a vigil to the man who was shot and killed by Inglewood police early this morning.
Pow, 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 pow. You don't know what's going on. You got people hollering and saying, stop it, don't do that.
Inglewood police say they responded to a fight at a birthday party when they encountered a man armed with a handgun. Police say the man, Marcus Smith, threatened officers before multiple officers fired back. Smith was killed and one officer was shot in the leg. One witness has a different version of what happened.
4 times. As he was laying on the ground, I lift up his shirt and actually seen in the back 4 bullet shots in his back.
Inglewood police say they recovered a semi-automatic handgun at the scene and that preliminary evidence suggests Smith did open fire on the officers. Now, this shooting is the latest in a rash of shootings involving the Inglewood Police Department. Last March, the Justice Department opened a probe into previous shootings involving unarmed suspects. Now, tomorrow, community leaders will hold an emergency meeting with eyewitnesses and police because of these conflicting reports. We'll keep you posted.
Right now, I'm going to take you to jail.
You said let's go. Leave.
Go. I don't see that car moving.
No, you told me.
We got to
buy something. We buying something.
You're not buying anything. You're leaving the Walmart. We
got to buy those.
No, you're not. You're leaving.
We got to come here. This supermarket.
Leave the Walmart now.
Fucking rules. We can still pay for our stuff, though. We still pay for our stuff. I ain't finna get put in jail for nothing.
Come on, fool. Move the car and go.
Can we at least buy these shirts real quick? Cause I really want these.
I want to shop all day. You cannot shop. I'm telling you to get your ass up off that car and get out of the store.
She cussing at us.
Come on, man. Because I'm speaking fucking English, and the fact that you don't understand
She's cussing at us.
You speak
English, bitch. You talk crazy.
If you're so intelligent, then you understand what I'm saying. Now leave the store. If you want to come back again and be able to shop at this Walmart, I suggest you go.
I ain't talking to you. Hey, what's up?
Go. Get up and get out of here.
Come on, man.
I'm letting you ride this damn thing to the door.
Everything on camera. I ain't doing nothing wrong. Shit. I'm talking about me. I'm shopping. Let's keep Mike Brown. Let's keep Mike Brown. I ain't doing nothing wrong. No, don't go to jail for this shit. No. Don't go to jail for this shit. No. No, you can't do that. That's not right. That's not right. No, hell no. Hell, you don't need this on your record, boy. I ain't doing that. What I'm doing? Look, man. Look. All right, it's on camera, so we go to court for this shit. It don't matter, because we ain't did nothing wrong. We ain't did nothing wrong. Hell, come on, man. We don't need this shit, dog. We don't need this. Excuse me, man. We don't need this, please. Please, ma'am. Ma'am, please. Oh, Lord. Okay. You're not going to take us to jail because we...
Leave the Walmart now.
All right, we leaving. Oh, his phone is cracked. You get through his phone now. His phone is cracked.
No. Go.
It just cracked his phone. His phone is cracked.
Oh, you got his lighter. I'm sure that was...
All right, we right there. We leaving. Harold, can we take your wallet and stuff? That's when we take his wallet. It's a right to take his wallet and stuff, though. It's a right for him to take his wallet, right?
I'm about to tell you one more time, you're going to jail. Take off. Go.
This is so racist. This is racist as fuck.
Yeah, it is. Take off. Take off.
Don't say no. Oh, on camera?
Don't say no. He wants you to fuck shit.
Come on, man. Come on, bro. Just don't worry about them folks, man. It's not a speed limit to walk. That's not right, folks. Rest peace, Mike Brown, man.
Trayvon Martin, too. Walmart, what do you expect us to do?
We didn't do nothing in Walmart.
Okay. Well, your buddy's showing his ass in Walmart. We asked you to leave, and you don't leave, right?
He wasn't even showing his ass.
He was in a car accident. He wanted to park. He said we couldn't get on.
He just got in a car accident a week ago.
That's not our problem, okay?
Yeah.
If Walmart doesn't want you here, our job is to come make you leave.
Well, Walmart ain't say that.
That's what Walmart said.
They didn't tell us to leave. They didn't tell us to leave, though.
We got a call.
They didn't tell us to leave.
Y'all get in your car and leave.
All he did was follow us around.
Okay. Well, he called us and told us he wanted you to leave.
Well, I got a piss. Can we just go back in and pee?
No, you can't. Get in your car and leave.
All right.
Okay.
It's good. That's fucked up for them taking my cousin to jail for nothing. I swear to God. Him doing nothing. That's why they gonna get a big ass lawsuit on it. Just like they blew their goddamn county jail. Talking about the goddamn gas ain't. Man, whatever, man. All this shit. They gonna pay for this shit here.
Showing all y'all ass. He just admitted that.
Excuse me, sir. What your name is?
I'm black. I don't need to say my name. Get the phone together.
But we got to say y'all our names. All this shit on camera, so we good. Squad.
Please, don't shoot me. Please, don't. This I saw him by the wall. I see him. Yo, they trying to kill me. He trying to kill me. He right there. Walk over there. He trying to kill me. I didn't do shit. They guys trying to shoot me themselves. I'm good. I'm just paranoid. I'm just paranoid. That's it. I'm not touching nobody. I swear to God, y'all know I'm not like that. Please.
He's a little paranoid or something.
Hold on, help me. I didn't do nothing to nobody though.
We got a unit coming.
Okay.
I didn't hurt nobody.
Right.
I wasn't hurting nobody.
Alright, no problem.
I swear to God I wasn't.
You want to go to the hospital?
Yeah, I need some water. I'm dehydrated. I need some water now. Like, I'm losing.
Alright, the hospital has water.
Can I get a cup of water, please? Please.
There's no
Like,
water
it's like my I can't talk.
He may have just left.
You're not gonna kill me?
You at the hospital? No. Go to the fire department. He's gonna take you to the hospital.
They just kicked me out. They beat me up in the hospital. The ambulance. I mean, the security guards in there. Please don't kill me, officers. Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me.
She was one woman whose cells changed countless lives in the face of medicine forever. Her cells were used to create the first immortal human cell line in the early 1950s. Now Henrietta Lacks is being immortalized on a wall. Fred Slade has more on her life and legacy and the importance of her contributions to the medical world.
And 3, 2, 1. Family and friends got a close look at the latest portrait to adorn the walls of City Hall.
We have so many untold stories about significant people in Baltimore, and when the story of Henrietta Lacks was first told, it amazed people all over the world.
This day is a very special day, exciting. Our grandmother's portrait is permanently being hung at City Hall.
Henrietta Lacks died after a long battle with cervical cancer in 1951. And doctors at Johns Hopkins University kept and cultured her cells without the family's permission.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know her story, that her cells were taken. They don't know the story behind the HeLa cells, that it was an actual woman who these cells belonged to. And that's what we're trying to get out there, that she was a woman, she was an African-American woman, she was a mother, she was a wife, and she left behind 5 beautiful children.
A lot of people made money and still making money hand over fist off my grandmother's cells. And the family, you know, we're not really being compensated. So it's an honor for me today to be able to let the world know that Henrietta Lacks was very profound in helping this world through medicine.
And with the taking of her cells, it was more so of a gift to the world.
You heading north? Nah, man, I believe this is southeast. Well, how far behind you is they? Who? The dogs. I don't hear the dogs. Man, what dogs, man? Is there something I can help you with? Because I'm on my way home, and man, I am whipped. Oh, Lord, how many lashes they give you? Nah, man, I mean, I'm beat. Well, at least you still got your foot. Man, look, what is it that you want, man? I don't have any time for this. Well, you must be one of them house niggas. Look, I'm just looking for my freedom. Freedom? Yes, sir. Well, where the hell you been, in the cave? Yes, sir, right back yonder. Oh, man, look, you must be from the South, man. Brothers up here don't act like that. Who? Excuse me?
Well, move it. You're blocking the way.
I'm sorry, sir. We just mosey out your way. Man, what the hell is the matter with you?
I'm trying to jog, and you're blocking my way.
Yeah, well, next time, you know, run around, jackass.
What?
Is you crazy, man? Is you crazy? You don't be talking to no white man like that. You know, they want to be right even when they wrong. We're sorry, sir. We're sorry, sir. Don't mean to hurt you. We're sorry. He must got one of them, that colored fever going around. Boys, now feeling too well. Accept my apologies, please, sir.
Well, I'll accept yours.
Thank you.
But I don't like your friend's attitude.
You better change your attitude. Man, why did you do that? What you talking about? Didn't your pappy teach you nothing about survival? You don't talk to the white man like that. Them people want to be right even when they're wrong. You see what you did? You don't put the dogs on us. Them dogs a lot smaller than Pappy said they was. It's 1991. What did you say? I said stop eyeballing that white woman. Put your fancy clothes on. Man, you can have that if you so desire, brother. And this is 1991, man. All that handkerchief head stuff don't play up here. This is America. We are free. We can do what we want.
There he is, officer. That's the one.
We done brought the slave catchers on us. Well, feet don't fail me now. Man, be cool. Be cool, man. We haven't done anything wrong. Officer, I'm glad you're here, see, because...
All right, face down on the ground and put your hands behind your back.
Hey, now, wait a minute.
I said get down on your knees and get your hands behind your back.
I is down, sir. If I go any further, I'll be in China.
You have the right to remain silent.
Man, this is outrageous. We ain't mean no harm, Mrs. Slave Master, sir.
You better shut up.
Yes, sir. Please don't beat me. Don't beat me. I tried to warn him, but he wouldn't listen.
Hush up. I'm not talking to you. You're free to go.
I was free?
Yeah, keep moving.
Wait a minute, man. I think he's in the singing group or something, man. Yes, sir. I'll keep moving. That's a good idea. Freedom don't seem to last too long around here.